instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Make America wealthy again.
Tariffs and the global turmoil that we've been telling you about.
There are still tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and really big tariffs on China that could threaten some sort of a trade war.
Stocks surged. The Nasdaq up 12.16%, its largest one-day jump in 24 years. The Nasdaq giving up some of those gains, a reminder that Trump's tariff agenda is still weighing on markets.
The most aggressive trade policy ever in the United States was kicked into motion last week, called Liberation Day, or like how Humphrey Yang said it best, Liquidation Day, with 150 countries having sweeping global tariffs placed on them with a minimum of a 10% threshold, with additional tariffs being placed onto China, taxing any imports into the US. The reciprocal rates go into effect April 9th, today, at 12:01 a.m.
They've ripped us off left and right, but now it's our turn to do the ripping.
Country-specific tariffs are in effect as of 12:01 a.m. Eastern Wednesday. The highest, a 104% tariff on Chinese goods.
Now China is fighting back with its own set of tariffs, starting a trade war with the US. In response to this news, stock markets are plummeting, with the S&P 500 index dropping about 10.5% just 2 days after the announcement, roughly 10% to 12% now in total. The Nasdaq has also dropped by approximately 20%. Trump seems to want to start a trade war with every other country, continually charging tariffs on other imports and upping the ante continually. Microsoft is down 15%, Apple is down 30%, and consumer goods are, well, as you've heard, probably going to get a lot more expensive. So when there is a 10% drop in the market, that's called a correction. When there's a 20% drop, that's referred to as a bear market. As Morningstar put it on Tuesday, it seems likely that there could be a significant amount of negative sentiment in the market until there is greater clarity regarding the impact and duration of tariffs. One thing that surprises me is Trump is doing exactly what he promised, or what he said he would do right before the election. And now everybody's kind of surprised that, well, he's following through on his plans. This is what he said he was going to do. Now, it's widely held that there are 3 reasons circulating around as to why Donald Trump is doing this. Number 1 is to exercise US dominance over the rest of the world. Number 2 is to make America great again by promoting US companies. And the third reason is actually pretty interesting, is to get the US out of debt and purposely crash trade markets. If the markets crash, this would reduce bond yields and thus reduce the amount of debt that America has to pay back. For reference, the US currently spends more on its debt than it does on defense. That's a lot of money.
What matters is our plan.
In case we haven't met, I'm Aaron. I've been investing for close to 2 decades now, and I think it's safe to say I know my stuff. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider subscribing to my channel. Right here you'll see CNN's Fear and Greed Index. Right now, it's pretty obvious people are fearful. This indicator actually combines several factors: price action, new highs, options data, and volatility into a single sentiment reading. The recent VIX readings are over 40, the highest they've been in over 20 years. The VIX measures the volatility in the market. I like this tweet from Donald Trump saying, "Now is the time to buy," and a tweet right below it saying, "With what?" I found that funny. So let's get into it. What can you do? The absolute worst thing you can do right now is to sell. Right now, you're not a guaranteed loser in your stocks. You only lose if you sell your stocks, because then your loss is cemented. I would hold on to any stocks I had unless I was forced to sell, like some people who have to sell in retirement. I totally get that. And second is Warren Buffett's famous quote, right? You've probably heard it. Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Well, right now it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of people who are fearful. So now is actually a very good time to buy if you have the money. I'm actually taking this opportunity to buy stocks for myself. Value price stocks that I know I can get a great deal on. Look at all of these great stocks right now that you can get at a bargain. Now, for reference, this is nothing new, right? This happens all the time with market fluctuations, crashes, recessions. the market always recovers. And every time it's happened in the past, every single time, some people say and proclaim, this is it, this is the end. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Sell, sell, sell. And then 6 months, maybe a year, maybe it's 2 years, who knows? They're wishing that they didn't sell and continue to hold on to their stocks. Even if they had the money, some are wishing they had got into the market. It's better to buy when it's low, right? And then, well, don't sell high. You want to continue to hold that stock as long as you can, because it'll most likely continue to appreciate in value, right? You're wanting a deal on all these stocks? Well, now is the time if you have the money. Now, I understand a lot of people are talking about layoffs and will they have a job and the price of goods are going to go up, all of that. 1 in 5 Canadians are currently worried about their long-term employment and if they're going to even have a job. I totally get it. But if you look back at the history of all these market cycles, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, all the popular ones, they always rebound. The real million-dollar question that nobody knows is, how long is this going to last? And nobody truly knows the answer. I know I don't. And I get it. Most people have lost thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. That's how the market is, but it will rebound. The question is, when? Hopefully, you're in a position where you've built up an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months. You have some savings set aside. You're diversified in your income, and hopefully you even have a side hustle. This is where all those important factors come into play in finance, the kind you hear all over on every channel and preached about all the time. These are the main key points, and this is when they really come into play. Now, I understand the cost of everything is going to go up, probably 10, 20, 25, 30%. So that emergency fund of 3 to 6 months, well, it's not going to stretch as far now. So I'm trying to save at least maybe 12 months if I can, because it's going to be hard if people lose their jobs and they have to rely on an emergency fund and wait till EI maybe kicks in. And oh, by the way,
the cost of living is going to go up again in Canada and the US. Like, that's all we need, right?
The only thing a person can really do is reduce their discretionary spending, right? Continue to cut back. And by cutting back and spending less, going out more often, well, this is going to perpetuate and continue to plunge both countries possibly into a recession, thus leading to job losses and so forth. You see where I'm going with this. Tariffs affect everything, right? People don't realize it, but they're like, oh, this is made in Canada or the US. It might be meat or dairy produced in Canada, but it depends, where does the packaging come from? Or the parts on the machinery used in operations of the producing of that product, are they imported? Because all of that will increase the costs of the product or service. Just remember, every storm eventually runs out of rain. So like I said, I'm doing what I've always done, right? It's nothing fancy or simple, but it gets great results. I continue to dollar cost average and buy in at set intervals into the market, buying a variety of stocks, particularly ETFs and index funds. Now, will stocks go even lower than they are? Well, who knows? But it's better to buy at set intervals. Time in the market beats trying to time the market. Now, I have my own 8-step process, my criteria, in which I evaluate a stock and determine if it's over or undervalued. And I'm going to continue to invest in some of these great companies that are currently, I believe, undervalued, that will appreciate again once the market rebounds. In case you're wondering, no, I usually don't give out stock picks. Why? Because even though I think my process is pretty good, I don't want somebody to go say, well, Aaron told me to buy XYZ company, and then a year later it tanked and went down. Well, I don't want that on my shoulders with someone showing up at my doorstep saying, well, you said it was a good stock. I use the best criteria and evaluation system that I have. It's worked good, but I still don't want that on my shoulders. I give people the tools to be able to analyze stocks, but for stock picking, I just stay out of it. I want people to make up their own minds. One thing that I kind of wonder about is a lot of people voted for Donald Trump, perhaps not fully understanding what tariffs meant or the impact it would have on the country or other countries as a whole. In case you don't know, the main rules, the basic rules of finance can be written, they say, on one sheet of paper, both sides, but one sheet of paper. So once you got down those basic rules, they don't change much. You can tweak and add to it, but emergency fund, have a budget, all this stuff you're very familiar with. That is the basic principles of finance and investing. Most channels just come out with, well, how can we say it differently? How can we add to it or tweak it? But once you understand those rules, there's not too much more to teach. Sure, you can fine tune and expand on some things, but that's why many of these things come into play in recessions or rough times such as now. So again, try to reduce your costs, have a budget, create an emergency fund, get a side hustle if you can. The same things that you hear during every recession. There isn't much more you can add to it. And if somebody else is promising you there's some other strategy to get out of this, I'd be really careful about that. One thing I find interesting is many people are in a bad financial situation, right? And there's numerous factors for it. Either they have poor financial judgment or circumstance or systematic issues that were beyond their control, or maybe a mix of both. However, elected officials will often tell people what they want to hear, anything, in order to get elected. But in my 40 plus years on this earth, never have I seen an elected official come into office and end up saving millions of people, like bringing, equality to all the masses and everything like that. It's never happened. People continually look for someone to save them. An elected official will often tell and proclaim what the people want to hear. And I'm sorry to say, these tariffs and all these impacts, a lot of this, well, some people saw coming a long time ago.